Skyrim is one of my all-time favorite games. I've been playing it since 2011, and honestly I've used it as an escape for many of my troubles. However, much like FNAF Security Breach, Skyrim's modding community quickly became, well, let's just say, interested in making things bigger than they should be. So today we're gonna talk about some Skyrim mods that will ruin your love life, and one that actually ruined mine. That's what we're exploring today, alright? Let me get my MXR on and let's do it. In a 10 alternate start live another life. Skyrim is one of those games that I go back to all the time. I've played through the game I don't know how many different times, and every time I do, of course, I end up being a stealth archer. However, they all start differently, and the typical get caught in a dragon attack in Helgen thing gets old. In fact, it gets old after the first time, really. And that might stop some people from playing it over and over again, but not anymore. With the alternate start live another life mod, well, I mean, I'm sure anyone who actually knows Skyrim modding knows about this mod, and I feel like the title is fairly evident. Basically, you can become anyone using this mod. You can choose from like 20 different starting options that each have their own options, and they give you a slight backstory as well as a new starting location that isn't Helgen. But before that, like, you don't even need to be the Dragonborn too. But once you're ready to become the Dragonborn, you can make your way to Helgen and start the main story as normal. This caused me to play through the game so many times that I actually ended up bailing on a girlfriend in the past because I would have rather been playing Skyrim. Grade 10 was weird, guys. Okay, it's a long story. In at 9, relationship dialogue overhaul. The relationship dialogue overhaul is exactly what it sounds like. It unlocks various lines of dialogue previously cut from the game for whatever reason and actually re-enables them. According to the mod page, this quote adds over 5,000 lines of completely voiced dialogue for NPCs using the original voices. Friends, followers, spouses, rivals, and others have much more to say. All default voices now have follower dialogue, and it also fixes dialogue bugs and restores cut dialogue that has never been heard before. Based on the relationship the NPC has with the player that works with the existing dialogue from the game. Yeah, you get more bang for your buck. Finally. Considering how I've bought the game 4 times, I feel like I deserve it. All the lines are voiced using the original voices from the game and consist of existing lines that have been added in new and suitable situations, as well as completely new dialogue that was created by editing multiple lines together to form brand new ones. Some of which sound like they were recorded, but a few of them you can tell were a little spliced. Friends talk to you more like friends, followers have much more to say when you're talking to them, and if your spouse is a follower, they will actually talk to you like a spouse instead of a follower. So basically this just makes your spouse more like your spouse in game. I have to say in game. And well, like, you know, they won't repeat the same 8 things over and over again. So yeah, more variety in game means more trouble outside. And by outside I mean in the apartment, because we don't go outside. In at 8, Immersive Armory. Immersive Armory, like alternate start, adds so much to Skyrim that it feels like a whole DLC. What I call the Immersive Armory though is really just the immersive weapons and immersive armor mods that I think were at least at one point separate, but as of special edition they might be packaged together. Although given that some people may want one over the other, I don't know if they are still like together or if they're separate. I don't know how it's going normally, but no matter the actual technicalities, the immersive armor and the immersive weapons mod add enough to your game to keep it feeling like vanilla Skyrim, but giving it that extra bit of oomph. The armors are cool, and with the variations on the armor itself in the mod, you can customize certain aspects to make your character truly unique. But this also adds another element of exploration, and for those completionists who want to collect everything they can, you're gonna be in for one hell of a ride. With hundreds of new items added to the game, you're gonna be working with like that smithing tree for a long time to be able to get complete access. I could have included like the Legacy of the Dragonborn mod, the mod that adds like the Dragonborn Museum in Solitude that you can fill out, but I feel like this one's more accessible to everyone, even though it's 2 mods, or I guess now technically 3. In at 7, Skyrim Family Life. In Skyrim, you for some reason can't have an actual family. Okay, well obviously it's due to engine limitations, but you can't actually like have your own children. It's an interesting idea that many players wanted access to, because you can only actually adopt kids after the Hearthfire mod. But the Skyrim Family Life mod actually enables you to have biological kids with your Skyrim spouse. I don't exactly know how it works, but I mean, if you have a family in Skyrim, okay, what's the need to have one in real life, right? I mean, that's definitely going to make some people mad that I said that, but come on, okay? okay? You have to understand how being able to have a biological kid with your video game wife is probably gonna cause some problems with your partner, or your video game wife, or husband, or whatever. I mean, but let's be honest, everyone who plays Skyrim probably plays as a female character, and they probably end up marrying women because men are trash. But considering that this mod, or at least a mod similar to this one, is compatible with certain Lover's Lab mods, and if you don't know what Lover's Lab is, then you probably don't need to be worrying about it anyway. Yeah, at least one version of the having biological kids mod genre, I guess, is a little more realistic than the typical black screen and a small block of text, or even just like sleeping in the bed next to your spouse, enabling the possibility of implied frisky time. So yeah, it's on this list for a reason. In at 6, Summermyst Enchantments. Summermyst Enchantments is another one of those mods that isn't gonna ruin your love life because of its content, but rather how much time you'll be spending playing the game because of it. Summermyst Enchants is the special edition version of the Wintermyst Enchants mod, so if you see that one, they're basically one and the same. This mod adds things like shout cooldown enchantments to armor, experience boosting enchantments, and much more. From what I remember off the top of my head, there was one for making the ground shake when you landed, one for summoning a spectral warrior when you took damage, and one that generates random amounts of gold every day, but once you take off that piece, that amount of money disappears. So finding all those enchantments and then trying to find the best combo for your character is definitely going to kill your love life just because you won't have time for anything else. Halfway through, in at number 5, More Nodes. The mod itself I don't think is actually called More Nodes, but what it's probably called isn't going to be allowed on YouTube. So yeah, I'll just call it More Nodes for now, and if you want to look it up later, you can. Basically, this mod edits certain Skyrim body mods like UNP and adds more areas to the body that physics can be applied. Basically, it turns compatible female body mods into jiggle physics emulators. So I think you can see where I'm going with this one, alright? HDT Physics is nothing new with Skyrim mods, especially in this area. However, where I think that this mod in particular really stands out over the other jiggle mods that you can get is that this one's VR compatible. And I don't mean that like it won't crash your game when you boot it up. I'm saying that these nodes that it adds are capable of being interacted with using your VR character's hands. So yeah, you can just start walking around slapping characters' butts. You can commit even more crimes now in game. You can start assaulting people with more than just bloody knuckles. So yeah, I'm sure you can understand why this mod would put a strain on your love life. And no, ironically enough, this isn't the one that ruined mine. In at 4, Reputation. Now, this doesn't do things like adding nodes or allowing you to have biological children. However, the Skyrim Reputation mod definitely is going to give you more reasons to keep on playing. With the Reputation mod installed, everything you do in-game will either make you more famous or more infamous. From quest lines to even how many bandits you kill, everything you do will make you either more of a good guy or a bad guy. But no matter which way you go, there will be different effects. From even Nazim no longer disrespecting you to being charged more at shops, the Reputation mod is such a subtle change that adds a huge amount to your game. This mod made me replay Skyrim so many times by myself, like oh my god. I mean, like I spent a load of time trying to fix my reputation after the Dark Brotherhood questline because I accidentally left it enabled for changing my score in the mod menu. You can turn certain things off. But after defeating Alduin, you're actually recognized as the Dragonborn and the savior of Skyrim, which is something that the main game was very much lacking. Alright, you saved them after, but then nobody cared. Because it's like they never thought that they were in danger. They're like, ah, no, he wasn't gonna eat the world anyway. Who cares, dude? Like, come on. This mod also fixes that, okay? And it lets you become famous. And I mean, who doesn't want that? At least in Skyrim. Getting close to the end, at number 3, Bijin NPCs. Bijin NPCs is probably the funniest name for a mod that I've ever seen. Well, at least out of the mods on the Nexus. This mod, I believe, is actually potentially a collection of mods under the Bijin NPCs umbrella. From the ones that I can remember, we have Bijin Wives and Bijin War Maidens, although those also may be separate mods with NPCs being its own. These mods modify certain NPCs though to look better, and it kind of removes the whole grunge and grime from their appearance. The NPCs edition of the mod focuses on Vex, Sapphire, Irileth, Rick, Hulda, Lisette, Carlotta, Carlia, Tanalia, Adrian, Maven, Ignan, Girder, and Ygritte, while the other sections focus on, well, their certain category. The War Maidens and the Marryable NPCs. However, I think that just the fact that I was unable to view this mod page without being logged in since it couldn't prove that I was over 18 gives you an idea about how this mod changes your game. It's not something as extreme as like a Lover's Lab mod, but it's definitely certainly making your significant other worrying about your next night together. Especially if you've specifically downloaded the Bijin Wives version, because like, you know. Penultimately, in at number 2, CBBE. CBBE is one of, if not the most popular Skyrim mod of all time. Okay, well technically I think that Sky UI is the most popular mod, or maybe the unofficial patch, but those are more of fixes than mods in my eyes. Anyway, for those of you who don't know somehow, CBBE is actually an acronym standing for Caliente's Beautiful Bodies Edition, and it's a mod aimed at, well, I'm sure you can figure that out. Its main focus is adding bigger butts and boobs to female NPCs, which I'm sure you can understand why it's such a popular mod now. At this point, Skyrim is nothing more than one of those like you can't last 5 minutes playing this game ads, but actually real. Nevertheless, downloading this will ruin your love life in multiple ways. Firstly, okay, it could warp your perception of reality and then change your standards to be ridiculously high, as if society hasn't set those high enough as it is. Or 2, it will also make your significant other question why you have these mods to begin with. And it works in every way, okay? Whether you're dating a male, a woman, a non-binary person, or otherwise identifying, they'll all have questions as to why you have this mod, okay? Like what? Is my body not good enough? Why are you installing that if you're not into women? The questions will just, it'll flow out of them more than the waterfall at Bard's Leap. Not from personal experience, because, well, my last girlfriend honestly wanted me to have this mod installed even more than I did, I think, which explains a lot, but especially given the main use of this mod being to make NPCs naked, you can see why this may cause some issues and why I've really had to restrain myself when talking about it. And finally, in at number 1, the Serana dialogue add-on. This number might, in all honesty, be a little too real for me, considering how I've been messing around most of this list. Okay, I've talked about it on my Instagram before, but over the past year or so, I've come to realize that the last relationship I was in was definitely an extremely toxic one. I was being manipulated and gaslit and a whole mess of other things. However, I thought what was going on was normal. Based on what I was seeing on social media and TV and just in my own life, I figured that this kind of behavior was normal and to be expected. However, something that started to clue me in into how messed up things really were was the Serana dialogue add-on. Yeah, basically, with this mod installed, you'll want to do the Dawnguard DLC first before even the main vanilla quest line, since with this mod, Serana will have an incredible amount of additional dialogue about the main quest line, Dragonborn, and even guild storylines. But it also injects an element of romance into these stories and into the quest lines for those of you who wanted to marry Serana only to find out that she wasn't actually a candidate for it in the vanilla game. This fixes that, even after curing herself of vampirism. This mod eliminates that whole issue, and it makes the connection more than just a you got me a mammoth's tusk because I was lonely, so how about we just get married instead thing, you know, the typical complete a quest, have them fall for you thing, okay? In this case, the dialogue choices matter, there are roleplay opportunities, and as sad as it sounds, it started me on the path of realizing that my situation wasn't healthy. And if you agree that that's sad, just imagine how bad it had to be for this to be what truly ended up ruining my love life. Yeah, that's all the time we have for today, friends. I'm gonna go cry in the shower now. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been in Shower Mate Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video. Oh boy.